Welcome to Lansing from a New Perspective. My name is Senator Patrick Colbeck, and today's episode we're going to focus on issues specific to seniors. And my guest today is Jennifer Esch from the Attorney General's Office, and she's going to talk to us about a special program coming out of the Attorney General's Office called the Senior Brigade. Welcome to the program, Jen.
Thanks, Senator.
Hey, first of all, just a little bit of background. Tell the viewers a little bit about yourself and how you got engaged with the Attorney General's Office on this topic.
Sure, well, I'd be glad to. First of all, I've been in Lansing for a number of years with a lifetime of affinity for helping others and with a background in legislative relations. I worked with the Attorney General in said capacity and really have wanted to help educate consumers. When you receive calls about different scams and frauds and areas where people are being victimized, it's hard to hear that. And so working with the Attorney General, I've been able to develop this Senior Brigade statewide educational program, as well as another called the Michigan Cyber Safety Initiative, Michigan CSI, an internet safety program for kids.
Two very important pieces of information for our viewers. I got to commend the Attorney General's Office. They've been very responsive for our office whenever we've had any inquiries from constituents that have had issues. Very responsive. I'm really excited that they kicked off this program, and I was hoping maybe we could talk a little bit more about it and give some people some high-level information about these programs, and then kind of highlight how they can get more information towards the end of the program, if that makes sense.
Sounds great.
So first of all, maybe give me an overview of what kind of topics are covered in the Senior Brigade, for example. What are the kind of the main areas that people can expect to get information about that pertain to their lives, and seniors in particular?
Well, being that it's focused on seniors, we've looked at all of the areas where seniors are tend to be targets.
Okay.
Phone and mail scams are a hot issue. Home repair and equity scams, investment frauds, identity theft. We have a seminar that helps families and caregivers with decisions like how to choose a residential care facility. Guiding them through the nursing home checklist and some steps like that that you just don't find in a lot of places. And then our sixth topic is very new. We just launched it this May, and it's on online safety. And we're not teaching seniors how to use a computer. We're helping dispel the fears of this technology that's new to the senior generation.
Oh, that's good, because I know when my mom started on the computer, she was kind of slow out of the gates, but by after a couple months, when she learned that she could get a hold of me anytime, any day, whenever she wanted to talk about a specific subject, she was intrigued by it. And our new generation, I mean, the kids have grown up. I was probably one of the first generations coming out of school where we actually had formal training on the computers as part of our high school education. And for folks that haven't been engaged on that, that could be a big jump in not just technology, but then when you combine the fact that now you're opening them up to a lot more information from a lot of different sources before, it actually expands their environment and what kind of to maybe some people that are trying to take advantage of the fact that they're new to these types of environments.
You are absolutely correct. In fact, my mother and father, God bless them, just love them to pieces, but they're afraid whether they click here, they're going to be sacrificing all of their safety, and they're becoming more comfortable online. But I have a strong desire to help people realize that the internet is a great resource, and there are some general steps you can take to safely navigate.
And Attorney General's Office is helping us to make sure that the information that we get is good information and help you kind of separate the wheat from the chaff, so to speak, and that's good. Well, maybe we can kind of go in some detail on some of the things that our viewers should watch out for, and just kind of maybe highlight some general consumer scams that are out there currently that we need to have folks aware of and to watch out for.
Sure, I'd be glad to. In fact, I just this morning spoke with one of our intake specialists in consumer protection, which is the division from the Attorney General's Office that these are developed out of. And the specialist shared with me a number of scams, including the grandparent scam. This one's been hot a couple of times lately.
What's a grandparent scam?
The grandparent scam is where these perpetrators pick up the phone, and from where they get their information, I'm not 100% certain, but they call a grandparent and pose as said grandchild. Hi, Grandma, it's your grandson. Oh, Johnny, what's going on? You don't sound good. Well, I'm in the Dominican Republic and I'm in jail and you can't tell anyone, and if you call the cops, they won't let me out, and I need you to wire me money.
Yeah.
And I hear about this from prosecutors' offices, from people. In fact, a friend of a friend up in Roscommon just sent $4,000. You can't get it back. Once you wire that money, it's gone. And it's a commonly recurring scam. In our phone and mail scams presentation, we talk about that and encourage seniors to think twice. If you receive a call like that, call your family member. Try to call the grandchild. You never know. You might actually get them on the other end of the line. And as much as your heartstrings are pulled, this is your kin, your loved ones, you want to do anything you can to help them, you have to take a step back and put it in perspective and just do a little bit of double checking before running to Western Union or wherever to wire that money.
Yeah, good advice.
And in fact, that piece of advice right there, if it's unsolicited, if it's a request for personal information when you're online, if it's a request for money, if it's unsolicited, you should always think twice. Whether you're a senior or any age, if it's unsolicited, particularly in the digital age here with emails and those requests, you should always do some double checking. And so all of our presentations are designed around providing that type of basic advice.
All right, well, that's a good overview of some pretty important, an example of a phone scam, but maybe you could walk us through some examples of some other financial or investment related scams, because I know, especially when you're on a fixed income and you've got limited resources, I mean, it's something you really want to make sure that you safeguard effectively. What kind of scams are out there in the financial world that seniors need to be aware of?
Piggybacking off of the grandparents, under the umbrella of the phone and mail scams, we do offer consumer alerts and some educational material on sweepstakes scams, which tend to target those nest eggs and are very common, and those tend to come in the form of mail but can also come in a phone call. You've won a sweepstakes. I need you to pay the taxes on it. Wire me $1,200 and you're going to win $250,000. And grandparents thinking, excellent, I can pay for my grandchild's college education.
They're thinking maybe how to help somebody else out or how this is going to...
That's right.
Yeah.
So we talk about all of those under the phone and mail scams. We have another topic, though, talking dollar signs, the investment fraud seminar, where we talk with seniors about free lunch seminars, which tend to involve scams of investment opportunities where there's a higher rate on return than is practical, or annuities tend to be a topic at these free lunch seminars where...
So how did they get invited via the phone to a free lunch seminar or mail or something like that?
They tend to be telephone, or you may receive something in the mail saying, you've won a lunch for you and 19 of your friends at such and such restaurant. You bring your friends, you won't have to pay a dime. And you arrive at... in fact, I personally received one. It was for Clatta Irish Pub up at Eastwood, which is a nice Irish restaurant. Show up and there's a salesperson trying to get us all to buy into this investment product. And all my friends are looking at me going, you're a schmuck. I'm not interested, and I just didn't know better. So if it's just the pride of not wanting to subject your friends to the sales pitch or to being vulnerable and it's high pressure, these free lunch seminars. You feel like
we've been to timeshare seminars, I understand.
Exactly, and who hasn't? And you know, for a lot of folks, especially with the economic slow turn of the last few years, meals out are a luxury, and so you may be inclined to take that opportunity. We want to show caution, and that's why we talk about that in the investment fraud seminar, against being lured and falling victim to the high pressure sales tactics. Because if you are at a point where you're focusing your spending and your disposable income on a fixed income or that nest egg, perhaps you're no longer at the point where you should be buying into investment products. And we want folks to think twice about that.
Okay, well, that's good to know. Another area near and dear to my heart is in the area of health scams, and I'm already feeling the effects of my knees not moving the way that they used to, but I can imagine if you're waking up with persistent problems and health problems and concerns, it makes you even more subject to people that say, hey, I can take care of this for you, and you don't have to worry about this anymore. And they give you that silver bullet that allows you to go off and mitigate some of your healthcare concerns. Can you maybe go into some health scams that are there that people are using to entice seniors?
Perhaps you've heard of miracle cures or home medical supply and equipment scams. I think the big piece of advice here is if it's too good to be true, I mean, if you're on hard times and you need, my folks don't have medical insurance, they're dairy farmers.
Yeah.
And my dad just a week and a half ago had a full hip replacement. To be honest with you, the hospital where he went is willing to work him into a payment plan, and there are professionals in your health organizations or doctor's offices that'll help. If you have a company trying to promote a product at a price that is just incomparably lower than anyone else, you may start wondering what the quality of that equipment is.
Yeah.
And the whole concept of miracle cure scares me. You know, in the time when all you want is to be rid of anything debilitating or in any way harming or hurting you, we just need to be cautious, and I think the too good to be true, not to be cliche or too simple, but we really should pay credence to the message there.
So snake oil salesmen are still alive and well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Unfortunately.
All right. Well, let's move on to some other areas. What about charitable giving? Any advice that you can give to our seniors around charitable giving?
Sure, absolutely. I think charitable giving is in its own right one of the best things you can do, and charity upon others is wonderful. We certainly encourage that. Our consumer protection also houses the charitable trust section, and new on our website, on the Attorney General's website, you can actually look up charities and look at their financial statements and identify how much of their revenues contribute to program services and how much goes toward the administrative overhead.
And obviously you want to make sure as much goes to the program services as possible.
Right. I mean, until I started working in the department, I had no idea. You could fundraise, there are charitable entities that raise millions of dollars. 95% of it goes to overhead.
Yeah.
Somebody's very comfortable based on that living, but that's a violation, I think, of the term charity.
Very much so.
But that's good research, if you're not aware of it, to conduct before you dedicate your hard-earned money.
Oh, I know it's something my wife and I look for our charities. We want to make sure that we've got that high percentage of going towards program services, because otherwise, I mean, you're right. This isn't a jobs program we're trying to do for administrative care, the administrators. This is to get out and provide care for the people who actually need it.
Yeah, and I would follow that with a typical scam is the sound-alike charities.
Yeah.
If you have Children's Protect Our Kids charity that's well-renowned and makes millions of dollars, you might have another charity that says children need protecting. It's very similar, and if you're not that familiar with it, you may say, oh yes, this is the one. Well, doing that additional research helps you identify, again, those program services. Where are they going? So that the legitimate charities aren't hindered by that.
Good words of advice, and these senior brigade programs provide tangible guidelines on how you can validate whether or not it's a valid charity or not.
That's right.
Just like the AG website provides that information as well.
That's right.
Oh, that's good. Now, getting into something that I should be doing right now that I haven't gotten into yet, because we're seeing what happens in the future years here, but how about the subject of estate planning? You provide guidelines on estate planning here as well?
Yep, not under the educational seminar headline, but if you go to our website, we've got all kinds of forms that guide you through the process of estate planning. And
all the legal aspects.
One-stop shop, that's right. You can hire an attorney, and we don't discourage it, but maybe you don't have the means to do so. This website, if you thoroughly review these different pieces of paperwork, you can take care of a lot of it from your home. So
you could actually print off the paperwork, fill it in, and then...
Yep.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and there's background information to support that as well.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And let's go to the last topic, I think, out of the topics that I think the Senior Brigade covers is that of identity theft. Mm-hmm. What kind of safeguards can you, what kind of suggestions at the high level, without going into too much detail you do in the actual seminars, can you provide to our viewers around identity theft prevention?
You know what, when it comes to identity theft, I've said this before and I'm going to say it again, the best tip we can give, don't share your information in response to an unsolicited request, period.
Good. Yeah, so if you're initiating it and you know who you're talking with, it's much, much safer than if somebody's coming up to you out of the blue and saying, you know, please click on this link and I'll, or please call this number or whatever. That's good. Good advice. So, kind of in summary, we hit a lot of different topics. We talked about some general consumer scams, the grandparent scam that's out there. We talked about several financial and investment scams. Touched on health scams. charitable giving guidelines that we can have for folks, estate planning and identity theft. So there's a lot of topics, and obviously we just brushed the surface of those topics and what we need to do. I want to highlight that the Senior Brigade actually offers seminars actually out at community centers. Is that correct? Maybe tell us a little bit about how to arrange that and how people can get engaged on to get the Senior Brigade to come out and talk with them.
Sure, absolutely, and I'm glad that you mentioned that, because while we've been around since September 2009, it might seem like a long time, I still talk to folks who aren't aware that it's available. And these are free on-site seminars. PowerPoint presentations up on a screen with trained presenters, 10 people. We've brought in professionals, senior advocates who know the content very well and have all the resources in their hands. If any organization, regardless of whether it's a civic organization, a religious organization, a senior center, it doesn't matter. If you can draw an audience, particularly of seniors, but those or their families or caregivers interested in learning more about one of these topics, you can register easily, right online. The website is www.michigan.gov/Senior Brigade.
Okay.
It's very easy. There's a big yellow button with red lettering that says Register Online.
Okay.
On the right side of the home page, and you just fill in some information, send it in within 48 hours, 24 to 48 hours, you'll receive a confirmation. Our scheduler, Kimberly Harps, is very good about following up promptly with those requests.
Good.
She'll assign a presenter. There is a toll-free number, 877-765-8388.
Now, is that the number that people should contact you if they run into scams as well?
It is,
if they're suspect that something sounds too good to be true and they want to check into it before they act, they can call, what was that number again? 877-765-8388.
Okay. That's our consumer protection toll-free number. Anywhere in the state they can call. They can, if it's to file a complaint against a scam or a fraud, or to register for Senior Brigade programming, or for Michigan CSI.
Okay.
All through that number.
And they can always contact our office too. I mean, that's one of the reasons we're having this, is to get the information out. If they feel more comfortable coming directly to our office, we'll get in contact with you. Like we've got the event coming up in September out in Northville that we're going to be having a Senior Brigade presentation.
Yep, that's right. September 30th, actually. Yep. Phone and mail scam. So if your viewers are interested, I won't be there. We've got Susan Peters is one of our presenters. She's got this on her calendar and is ready to go.
And there's a lot of information to get out to seniors that we're going to try to make sure that we have this presented throughout the district. And if you miss it on that September 30th date, we're going to try to make sure that we've got some other dates where people can connect in to get this valuable information. And once again, all this information will be up on the screen afterwards so people can know where to go. We're going to try to make sure we've got links on it from morninginmichigan.com and my Senate site as well. And if you want to get on Facebook, you can link to us on Facebook, and we'll make sure that has some direction out to these, out to the information for these programs as well. So no excuse about not getting information out. We should all know these. And if you're watching it and you're not a senior but you have grandparents, please make sure that they are aware of this as well. And you can show that you're a really good grandkid to make sure you're taking care of grandma and grandpa there.
Okay, you know, and the only other thing I might add, our website also has a calendar. So if they can't make the September 30th event, there very well may be another Senior Brigade event in a nearby community. So folks can go, or if they want to submit an event for their community organization, those can be posted on our website.
Them. Yeah, and that's good. Well, we're going to have more information out also on our newsletter. We're going to be going out to seniors. It's going to be a senior newsletter, senior update. So please look out for that. It's going to be coming out here shortly. And with that, I just want to thank you, Jen, very much for coming in and sharing the information about the Senior Brigade. It's a great program, a lot of information, and I really encourage our viewers to take advantage of this program. Our AG office is really doing some good things up in Michigan. You should be proud of Attorney General Bill Schuette and his staff. They're really good people to work with.
Thank you, Senator.
And thank you, everybody, for joining us on this episode of Lansing from a New Perspective. Once again, my name is Senator Patrick Colbeck, and I look forward to you joining us next month as we talk about healthcare policy in the state of Michigan and what it means to our constituents.